Good evening. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Karan?
I'm doing good, Divya. We'll start with a quick introduction of yourself.
Yeah. So I graduated in 2019 from BC from NIT Agartala. Post that, I've been working in the software industry. I currently work as software lead in Edelweiss. And for me, it's about 5.8 years of experience as of now. And yeah, I mean, I had given GRE. So yeah, that's there. A little bit about me.
Okay, great. And Divya, you've just gone through the entire process and you have had a good run, I would say, in terms of the kind of schools you've been able to convert with some good scholarships as well. So could you just give a quick overview of the kind of schools you have been able to get into and what scholarships did you get?
Yeah, so currently I'll start with what school I've chosen. So
Yep.
currently I'm going to Shello, Georgia Tech's 2-year MBA program. There I've got a full GRA, which will cover my entire tuition cost and a little bit living expenses. So given this current climate and the recruiting outcomes, I feel this is the best outcome for me personally. And I
Okay.
feel MBA is a lot about the personal goals rather than just rankings or maybe
Yes.
some reputation. So other than that, I also bought into Tepper in round one with 70K dollar of scholarship. And then I had three more waitlist at Haas and Michigan Ross and Duke. Although I'm not pursuing those waitlists anymore, given
Yeah.
the debt scenario that I don't want to take on right now. So yeah, that's these are schools I applied and some of the results. I also applied to a couple of other schools, faced rejections, but yeah,
Okay.
this is a little
Great.
bit about.
And Divya, you mentioned a very important point about what fits you well, right? Not blindly going by the
Yeah.
rankings and trying and
Mhm.
figure out what do you want from a professional standpoint, and then accordingly moving ahead with your with choosing your final business school. So we'll talk more about it towards the end of the testimonial, and I would like you and request you to elaborate on that. But before that, let's take you probably a year back or 2, 3 years back. I remember you had initially reached out to us in 2019, right? When you had a brief discussion with one of my colleagues. But again, I would like you to probably talk a bit about that and then probably talk a bit about what made you finally enroll with LilacBuds for your MBA admissions consulting.
Yeah, so it's a long journey in discovering the right consultant for me, I would say. So back in 2019, when I had initial thoughts of pursuing higher education, I saw a couple of sites and then I got a call from one of the mentors from LilacBuds and I had a discussion which made me feel very positive about the journey ahead. And in some way, instilled some confidence somewhere. So yeah, I mean, at that point, I really felt a connection with them. After that, COVID came and the plans dropped, and then I think last year I rethought of going and doing all of that stuff. So first, I did my GRE. I was done with it, and then I decided to choose a consultant. So I went to a couple of sites. I went to a couple of people. I talked to a couple of people. So some were charging too high. I wasn't ready to invest that much, and then there were some other people who were in the range which was doable. But then I really felt when I had 2, 3 conversations with them, I realized that they were not aware of truly aware of what I wanted and how my journey had been. I don't know, maybe they had been in touch with candidates who were more from the consultant background or maybe the management background or fields that were not STEM, I would say. And they started suggesting me, maybe, they looked at my LinkedIn profile and they were like, maybe you should do this courses. There is still time for you. Because I started pretty early. In
Yeah.
around May or June. May, I was like, I have to do it. And in that time, they were like, we have a lot of time. So maybe you should do this course and maybe you should do this course. And I'm like, why should I do this course? Like,
Yeah.
this is not related to my journey at all, and if this is something that I'm going to learn in management, then I do that there, not do everything from here before. So that
Yeah.
did not make a little bit sense to me. And then I was talking to LilacBuds as well, and then I had a conversation with Prayash and Rajiv at that
Yeah.
point of time, and I really felt I had the guidance and support in them to move forward with the journey. So when I had initial conversation, I was sure that I'll be going with LilacBuds, especially
Okay.
my first. I starkly remember I said to Rajiv, "See, I want to be like more like guided. I am ready to do all the work that is there, but I just want more like a mentor who would be there for me more than like somebody who's just telling me to do stuff." So yeah, I think that was there in him, and that made me confident about moving with LilacBuds.
Okay. Okay, so we'll talk about your experience with Mr. Rajiv, who happens to be our MBA head coach in detail. But before that, I quickly wanted you to touch upon our admissions consulting product suite. How did that make your life easier during the entire process? If you could touch upon that. Yeah.
Yeah, so the dashboard was there, and there are a couple of places. It's a very nice consolidated space where every discussion, every document that is shared, and other tools which are also there made the journey very, I would say, um, it was really helpful in the journey because if ever like I wanted to go back to a conversation where I thought maybe yeah Rajiv said this and I was not like a very avid note taker, but I remember what happened in the videos, what happened in each conversation. So sometimes I would go back and see what did he say about this video, what opinion did he have about this. And whenever I shared the documents or he had edits, I always had the track of those edits. And of course, I used that, the interview portal where we could practice mock interviews. I used it a couple of times, especially for Haas. I got the online interview, which I really, did a lot of practice from that portal. So yeah, I mean, it made everything very consolidated. If it wasn't that, everything would be too scattered and keeping track of videos, and it would be like an extra work on my side because I have to keep track of everything. Whereas in the portal, I can just go and find everything. So yeah, I
Yeah,
think that was
great.
really.
So I'll pass on the feedback to the technology team. Thanks a lot for that. And finally, now let's talk a bit more about your one-on-one experience working with Mr. Rajiv. How did he help you? How did he steer your entire admission journey? And probably if you could talk a bit about that.
Yeah, so I chose consulting because I really didn't have somebody really close to me who had gone and done the MBA abroad. And I needed guidance at every step, basically, how to think about things, especially. So Rajiv really helped me in that, giving me assurance at every step and being really the mentor I needed at that point of time. Like even the smallest doubt, I would sometimes like message him and he would be so responsive. Like I was surprised. I mean, I was not sure if I could do that, if I could do that in his place. So yeah, he was very responsive and I felt very assured if any problem comes up. Even even during the journey there were some difficult times where I had conversations with him, and he kind of helped me, reassured me everything's going to be fine. So on that level, and apart from that, he had very good knowledge about the schools and what the school intended. That made my journey easier because when I told him about my personal goals, what I think about where I want to land up post my MBA, he was able to give me very raw sort of sense of the schools, like in which direction they were good at. So and he really made me select the right schools, and he pushed me towards that, and thankfully I'm going to one of the suggested schools. So yeah, that was there. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm very thankful to have him as my mentor. I mean, I think I yesterday also messaged him a question and he replied back. That was like really nice for me. So yeah, I
Great.
mean, the experience was really nice.
So yeah, I'll surely pass on this positive feedback to him as well. Finally, Divya, so you've gone through the entire journey. It's long journey of 6 to 8 months, right? Where you learn more about your own self also. and you figure out what you want to do professionally in the long term through this journey, right? And as we touched upon earlier in the towards the start of the testimonial, you mentioned a very important point of figuring out the right fit school for you, which might not always be a top five or a top ranked university, but yeah, it
Absolutely.
can be a tier one business school for sure. So I would
Mhm.
like you to probably share some nuggets of wisdom which you have gathered through this entire process and which you would like to pass on to pass on to others who are willing to follow the same journey. Divya, what would your advice to others be?
So my advice to others would be first figure out where you want to land up, where you are coming from, really know yourself, and based on that, what your post MBA goals are, what you hope to get from the MBA, choose schools based on that. And it's not just the rankings are there. Brand name of course matters, but then there are other things as well which matter as much, especially which school is good at what. Like maybe consulting is good at one school, maybe finance is good at one school, maybe the school's location in such a place, maybe it's like Seattle, maybe it's like on the west coast where tech recruiting will be really really nice. So I mean, a lot of things matter, like location matters, funding matters, given the current climate where visa sponsorships are a little bit unclear, and there is a little bit, hesitancy in hiring for the international applicants. It is very important to know the kind of risk you can take. Of course, MBA is a long-term investment. It is not just like you come out of the school and you're like, oh, okay, 2 years were nice and I'm getting good job. So it's a lifetime investment, and you cannot measure the ROI in the next 2 years, and you have to kind of wait out the tough periods. But to make that journey easy, to make that tough period easy, you need to make decisions consciously. So, like, I chose the decision of being debt free because, of course, I'm not coming from a very, very wealthy background, or maybe where I can afford huge debt at this point. So, yeah, I mean, consider your personal goals, really know your schools, play at your strengths. And yeah, I mean, this is the advice that I would really tell students about.
Great. And yeah, so Divya, thanks a lot. You touched upon all the relevant points, specifically the ones which are very relevant looking at the current scenario we are. Finally, I would like to thank you a lot for taking out time and agreeing to share your candid experience with others who are looking to follow the same career trajectory going ahead. And we will wish you all the best for your study abroad journey. And going ahead, if you want any support, please feel free to reach out to us. Thanks a lot for this. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Karan. I hope whatever I said helps the students and really gives them the, personal view, or a little bit preview into my journey.
Yes.
And I hope it helps them. And thank you for opening the channel, for, being so warm and letting me ask questions and still
Yeah.
continuing the association. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks
Thank
a
you so
lot for
much.
this, Liam. Thank you.